Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Sanctuary update. Today we are talking about February 2023, and we got Nine and Special Bread joining us to tell us all about it. Nine, let us know what happened.
Yeah, okay, so we've got quite a bit of stuff to go through since the last video, but first for I guess the biggest announcement is Brad is now our project manager. So welcome Brad into that role. We haven't had a project manager before. We've always like focused all the funds on development and stuff, but it's, gotten to the size where we need somebody to kind of like, step up and organize all that sort of stuff. So Brad was already doing heaps of organization. He was our art director. He did heaps of scheduling. He organized like, VFX schedules and all that sort of stuff. So that's really good. But also, I don't know if you guys have seen Brad talk, but he's a pretty smart guy. Not bad for an artist. He also did our like ballistic maths code with, quartics and coefficients and all sorts of magic that I don't understand. And basically understands how games like this are put together because of like, all the work that he did in the past on Nomad. So it was kind of like a no-brainer choice when we had to like work out who we're going to get to lead the charge. The best choice was Brad. So here we are. Hi, Brad.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, it was always a funny one because I just do whatever it needs to be done. Like, it doesn't matter if you're called an art director or whatever. So I was doing a lot of this stuff anyway. I was going, your code over here is like looking a bit weird, or this thing's going here. And, we're already putting in all these processes where, you had to like make sure that the right thing at the right time was being made and so on. And, like it's the trick is to get things done on time and on budget. You got to know what the time is and what the budget is, right? Like it's all about those things. So, and we just have a bunch of people who are focused on code because code is important. That's what we're making, right? So, and now you just needed to add a bit of the time and budget stuff in. Because like when it was like 5 people, when we were much smaller before like all the investors came in and everything, it's much easier to manage because you could just get people to talk to each other. But now it's time zones, they have bigger meetings and things, and they have to like rearrange all these things, right? That I mean, making games is not all fun and games,
Yeah,
although
Brad's
maybe
been
making schedules is.
Brad's been with us since the start. So when we first started this project, it was Tatsu and I. We like co-founded the project on day one, and on day two we hired well, didn't hire, but Brad joined us as well as Avitus and Badump. So yeah, Brad's also like a shareholder, owns part of Sanctuary, and our company and Harden Media. Um, and like it is an absolute workhorse. So as part of Brad's initial deal, is he just had to make the EDA faction. So he had to make 100 units, and that's how he came to own those shares, and that's all he had to do. But on top of that, he's taken on art direction, all the scheduling, and just getting involved in like every single bit of the project, marketing, Steam release, videos like this, like, getting Brad to not work on something is actually like a feat in itself. So, um, and like people don't see us too much. We're not public facing. You don't hear much from me. I've never been on one of these videos before, but we are behind the scenes getting things done, doing all the planning, doing the strategy, and I guess you'll be seeing a lot more from us now. But it's still just like basically being organized the same way it already was. So it's just things are going to go through a little bit differently. So you'll see some changes around here. But the other interesting thing is, if you didn't see it, we had that video with Brad Reeb, the lead. What is he?
Lead designer of Spree Commander Forged Alliance. He
Might
is
start that
the
again.
boy.
Yeah. So the actual lead designer, so he worked on Vanilla Supreme Commander, but when Forged Alliance came over, he became the lead designer and took over that. So we had an interview with him, had a chat, showed him some stuff, and he really liked it. So that video is worth a watch because he's like really excited and just has like lots of enthusiasm. So it's always great talking to him. We did have to cut out parts of the video that we're not ready to release to the public just yet. There's still some features and secrets coming up. So, um, we had to edit out some of that, but worth a watch. Otherwise, we've started talking about the demo and the Kickstarter, which is a bit of a loaded question, and this is like this is one of the bigger questions for us as like strategy for this game is like when do you launch the Kickstarter? It's a huge question. And earlier we kind of had to launch it early, right? We had no money. We could only, we were forced to launch it early. And we actually have money now. So it actually makes no sense to launch the Kickstarter now. And the only reason to do it is because we said we would. But it is the absolute worst thing for the project. The best thing for the project is to delay it for a long time until the project is as good as it can be. And every 3 months we add to it, the better it looks, the better the demo will be. The demo that we put out with the Kickstarter, so that when people are looking at us, a company that's never delivered a game before, they're going to look at us with a demo that they can download, play, zoom in, see the explosions, move some units around, see the thousands of units collide. And when they see that, it's going to be a whole different thing to if there's no demo. So that's a big call, and we've been talking about it for about a year, right? It was a big decision, but basically, it's decided now. The Kickstarter will be delayed.
Yeah, you have no idea the amount of charts I made. Like, how do you predict like the amount of Steam wish lists over time, and like what's the Kickstarter stats and things like that. You have no idea. There were spreadsheets everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
Predicting the future is hard. But no, do you remember when we talked about Kickstarter release in back in the day in August of 2020, the year of our Lord 2020? That's when we were originally going to do it. And then actually, like, imagine if we tried it then, it would have been so much worse. Because we didn't have any, like, we just started the project, right? We had just like a few guys in the basement, right? But now, like, look how much we have, right? It's so much more. Like so what we've actually been doing is we've been doing Kickstarter essentially at the very end all the time. That was kind of always our strategy. We've just been moving it along as our situation surprisingly gets better and better and better. There's somewhere a lesson in that. If you expect to be surprised in the same direction every time, maybe you just get it right the first time.
Well, that's right. But the challenge for us is we never knew how much money we had and how much the budget was. Yeah. So it keeps getting extended, so we're just keeping extending it. So, there's nothing wrong with that, and it's the best thing for the project. And you can just see, as Brett said, if we had launched earlier, we would have launched with not much. If you look at our Steam stats now, we've got nearly 40,000 wish lists. That is huge. That is a big number of wish lists.
I checked the visitor stats just the other day. We had 600,000 views since we released, and we just released a few months ago. So that's kind of nuts, actually.
When we go to Kickstarter, we can launch the demo on Kickstarter, and 40,000 people are going to get a notification saying, hey, you can play this now, go check it out. And in that will be a thing like, and now go to Kickstarter. So it's going to be huge. But, if we did that today, we're not ready for that today. We've got too many bugs. It won't work. So, we're going to wait until it works. And I'm not going to tell you when that's going to be. I don't know if it's in 5 months. I don't know if it's in 15 months. I just don't know. But we're going to do it, right? And if I just tell you a date, well, it's just going to make us look like idiots because it won't be on that date.
The future is hard, yeah.
Yeah. So
in fact, there's this thing, professional forecasters can only predict 3 to 6 months in advance. That's professional forecasters. Like the top people, and not just people who call themselves professional forecasters, the people who make money on prediction markets, right? It's like trading stocks, but in the future. Those guys can only do it 3 to 6 months in advance. So what are we next to them? Right? There's no way we can work out what's going to happen. Yeah, so in the past couple of weeks, actually, I was looking at, we were looking for a mapper, right? And we narrowed it down to this guy, and essentially, this is some of the stuff that he did. So what you see on the left is stuff that he did. Basically, that was day two of his job. Day one, and was him just getting set up with a map editor. And this is day two, and essentially, yeah, this is one of our maps. it's a different environment. This one's actually styled also after a real location. So this one is in the style of Lake Baikal. So you'll see it's got the distinctive blue ice, which is see-through, and that's because the water there is surprisingly clear. So you can actually see the cracks and things in there, and you can even zoom in and get that. And we're actually working on upgrades to this map. Like, it's not even finished. It's gonna look even better, and also like these sort of characteristic beige, brownish kind of cliffs there as well. Yeah, so that's what the map is, and it's actually a small map. It's smaller than you think because what we do with our maps is we have a very wide map border around the map, so when you play, the experience is actually quite seamless. Like you're not just stuck in a little rectangle, but it looks like it could go on forever.
Like
So the player.
edge, an unplayable.
Yeah, the playable area is actually a narrower square in the center, but it is extended, and we're actually like even thinking about stuff that's on the horizon is further technology to actually extend it even more, but not inside the map. So it looks like you're actually on the surface of the Dyson sphere. You're not just on a disembodied square floating in space. There we
But
go.
yeah, the interesting thing I always thought about this map is you were telling me that it's actually symmetrical, but not.
Oh yeah. So that's one of the tricks you can see is that the textures are not symmetrical, but the map is. So this is a completely fair map that looks more natural than it would otherwise because the textures are slightly different on each side, but the map is still fair. So that's like a trick that we're using to upgrade them, like our maps, make them look a little bit more natural. So you can see there's still some symmetry involved, but in other places there isn't. So it's
Yeah,
so
right.
for
Like it
example,
looks super
yeah,
organic, compared
yeah.
to pure symmetry, and it's a really cool technique because it is totally fair. It is symmetrical in gameplay, but just looks organic. So you know that's a great technique. Um, and that height map looks like a good height map. It's like the right sort of like, there's choke points and there's like big spaced areas as well. Like, and what about the ice? Are we doing the see-through ice thing?
Yeah, so we actually have two different ways that we're thinking about doing the ice. So if you notice, there's this cool ice river in the middle, and what we're thinking about doing is we're actually thinking about getting that looking even more 3D than ever. So you'd actually be able to see through the ice, and the way we're doing that is there's two ways. So one way is we have decals, which we looked at some special shaders, where if you look at the decal, it's got a box map underneath, so it looks like you're looking through a window, and we can place some of those on the map. And like our technical artists already tried them, we've already seen them, so we could stick them in. So that's plan B. But plan A is we're actually going to replace the ice layer with a water plane, and then we're going to change the shader on the water plane, and we're going to set it to like have the ice property so that units will drive over it. And then we'll actually model the seabed, so it will be the real thing. You'll actually be able to see that. And we wanted to put like here's a secret that hasn't really been revealed about this map yet, which is the idea is that actually there's a pipeline going through under the ice, and you'll be able to see the pipeline. That's the trick. So we'll actually put that into the map, and then you'll be able to see through the ice. You'll see the pipeline underneath, and you'll see the seabed and things like that.
Wow.
And I talked to this is still sort of aspirational, but I talked to the technical guys, and they say it's actually not that much work. They just need to flip a couple of switches over here, and they need to do a bit of work that we're already going to do anyway. So we might not have it right away, but it's something that we can have pretty quickly, actually, if we put
Real
online.
shout out to Ozone as well, our technical artist, because we just throw in problems like this, and he's like, "Oh yeah, okay," and then like 2 days later, he's like, "Yeah, it'll look like this," and he's kind of got it mostly working, and it's like just absolute tank. Love you, Ozone.
Yeah, exactly. And like just things that no one else could even do on the entire planet, right? It's just, I keep remembering that 100,000 trees demo where he just sort of sees a Unity demo, says, "Well, I'm skeptical. I reckon we could just do that."
No, it was an Unreal 5. It was an Unreal 5 demo, right? Someone was bragging about the engine, how it can do this.
Yeah, he's
he's like, "Well, I can do that."
Yeah, 1.5 hours later, he shows a video of 100,000
Yeah.
trees on our
So
map.
we
Like,
got this
there's
really
no
stupid
space.
map. Yeah, it's 100% true. So
Yeah, there's
pretty
no, like, you can't see the floor. It's just filled with trees, right? And each one of them is like, yeah, and it's running at 80 frames or whatever, 75 frames a second.
no, it was
It's
like
just nuts.
160 frames a second or something. It was something really
No,
stupid. But
well, anyway, yeah, it doesn't matter, but it was definitely well over 60, right?
yeah, but
And I
that
was
ice
like,
is
yeah,
super. I've saw some of the early prototypes for the ice stuff. It's actually way cooler than it sounds because as the camera pans across it, because things are deep under the ice, they sort of move at a like a parallax effect or something. They move a little bit different
yeah,
to the
yeah.
things on top of the ice, and it's got like a blur to it, so it's like a foggy kind of ice, and you can see things underneath. It actually looks like really, really super cool. So I'm actually really keen for that. And the thing that Brad was saying with the shader being able to like turn the ice on and off, that's what's going to be able to enable that like feature that we have where you bust the pipe or whatever and you freeze like the whole map. So that's becoming a
Yeah.
reality. Like that was always a stretch
Conspiracy
goal,
time.
but
It's all
we'll see.
connected.
Yeah.
Right? The ice shader, you get the pin from like the strings, right? You get the ice shader, that's like the weather thing, right? We're actually putting that in as like some pathfinding things. So we're leaving these gaps out in our project so that later we can put in these stretch goals that we're working on. So we're not just
Right.
we're actually future proofing our game now.
Which is like the
Yeah.
whole development strategy we've been doing the whole time, right? Is you need to plan as if like these features are going in, but you don't actually put them in because we don't have budget or time. We need Kickstarter, guys. If you want to, be able to freeze the map, we need a good Kickstarter. We need a lot of money to do it. But we're building the stuff we're making today, we're doing with that in mind, so that if we get that, we don't have to do a full rewrite. We can just like add, the expensive parts. The other thing that's really cool, I don't know if we talked about it before, but the idea of like the vision underneath the water surface, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. No, that's a good one. So essentially, as you may know, we have vision on our maps, and the way that works is, when you have a unit that can see inside its vision range, the map is lighter and then it's darkened out outside. So here is a thing that you may not know. So other RTS games of like the similar genre, they actually have a separate hidden stat for seeing under the water. It's not the same as the stat for seeing. So vision and water vision are actually two different things, and nobody knows this. If you haven't looked into the code, right? If you don't know what, like, you just won't know it's true, or like maybe you're a professional player who's learned that it's true or was told by someone else that it's true, but it's not really easy thing to find out. And because there's no indicator at all. So like if a submarine, it just appears out of thin air, even though like it's inside the vision radius. And that's because there's a separate hidden stat for this, and it's actually kind of important for making the game work right. So what we're doing is we're going to have a separate shader on our water where the vision makes the water more transparent, and then it's more opaque because actually water is pretty opaque. Like if you're in an ocean, you can't see the bottom of the ocean. So
Because
what we're
the
going to do
waves
is
reflect, right? So it's shiny basically.
yeah, and all the microparticles in the water, all the planktons and things like that. Like it's actually kind of murky, right? Crystal clear water is rare to come by. That's like Lake Baikal, actually, right? But usually it's quite hard to see through. It's hard to see through the sea. There we go. Um, so, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a little shader, or not a little shader, but a pretty cool shader that lets you see the underwater vision radius. And the way we're going to do that is it's going to make the water a bit more transparent. So you may notice in our game today, actually the water is slightly more transparent than it would otherwise. It's quite hard to do. It's quite hard to see that because it's a very clever shader which makes it look like the water is opaque, except when there's something in the way, and then you can actually see that it's more transparent than it looks. There's some really clever things going on where we darken the seabed by like we multiply it by the depth of the water, so it looks like the water's a lot deeper, lot more opaque than it is, right?
Whereas
And we're actually gonna anyway. I'm getting ahead of myself, right? But we're actually gonna have another thing where you can see the vision radius, by having the water made more transparent in that. And that's like a visual feedback where you don't need a UI element almost. It's integrated into the game. And that's what we're trying to do with a lot of these things, where you want it to appear natural and so it's intuitive and you can just see these things and you don't need to like wonder what they are. And it's not like some flashing UI indicator. It's kind of just in the game. Like same with like maps are actually a pretty good example. The cliffs are a different color and that's how you know you can't pass over it. You don't need a visual indicator to know that the terrain is impassable where the mountain is. And it's the same thing here. We're trying to put things like that so you can understand kind of on an intuitive level what's going on in your game. There we go.
All right, I like it. I love the map. It's gorgeous. It is gorgeous, and I can't wait to see all the things you described because that all just sounds phenomenal. The underwater effects, the ice and the parallaxing type thing, whatever you're talking about. Love it. I look forward to seeing this in actual demos or even playing on it. That is going to be, yeah, chef's kiss to the mwah.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
I'm
glad
looking
you like
forward to
it.
too. I think the map looks great. I didn't have anything to do with this map getting created. I'm stunned by it. I think it's beautiful. It
Yep.
doesn't even have props on it. It's going to look even better with props. And
Doesn't
remember,
have any details on it.
this is day 2. Imagine what it's going to be like after a few iterations, and once you see, so you can start to see like the quality and kind of like the next gen type of feel to it because it's just like a step up, isn't it? So I'm really really happy with what the guys have done.
Hire that mapper. Be sure you got him. Be sure you got him locked down.
Yeah, we will. Don't worry. But also, like here's a thing that you may not is not apparent from the map itself, which is that a lot of this stuff is done procedurally. So what that means is part of our workflow. It's actually pretty good for what we need from the gameplay. Because let's say a lot of these things are quite important where they are. So we have a cliff and a rock over there, and you might move it. You might need to move it a little bit to nudge it around for gameplay reasons, because they kind of section off these areas and partition the map into strategic points. And what's really cool is they're procedural. So the guy just has a really, really simple height map. It's just like 4 levels just flat in Blender. And then it turns into this when he presses a button. And he can move the cliffs around really easily. So if we need to make gameplay adjustments, and that's what we've been doing. So we've been talking with myself and Speed, who's the lead designer. He's been adjusting the sort of gameplay parts of the map and making sure that the heights are right and things like that. And, he's just like, move this to the left, move this to the right, like, change the curve on this. And we could just do that. And it was just so quick. It was just like, half an hour later, bang, another stunning looking map, but with the adjustments on there, or like an hour later or whatever,
We should
right?
do
It
a
was
live
just.
stream of that because that stuff is so much fun to watch.
I mean, we didn't really do it like that. We gave text notes, then we got stunning images back. It was like watching a render happen. You press enter, and then the pictures come back. So it wasn't quite. But whatever the mapper guy was doing, he could perhaps live stream the process because it's in. He works with Gaia and other tools and things like that. So it's quite visual.
We have the pretty rock as well, so that was we're starting to get these new assets like that. Right, Brad?
Yeah, and the decals. That's actually there's like some waves as Lake Baikal freezes. It doesn't freeze uniformly, and these are actually like little frozen waves, and the ice kind of piles up on top of each other. So you get these kind of formations of frozen waves near rocks, right? It's actually pretty cool stuff. Then that's how they look like. Yeah.
But yeah, so this unit here, this is the guard. It's like an engineering kind of station, so it's got a whole bunch of drones on it. They're going to fly off this structure somehow to go assist other construction efforts.
Yeah. You can actually see the drones on the rings. So you see each one has these like 4 little clips there, and that is the drone. It's in the ring, and it just like it'll shoot off, and they'll actually arrange themselves into a formation, and you can see the number of discs is actually proportional to how fast this structure can build, and you can upgrade it. So this is the fully upgraded version. It's got 4 discs, but there's smaller versions with 2 and 1 instead. And yeah, so they fly off. Oh yes, there we go. You got the YouTube video. Very cool. There we go. Look at this. So that's the upgrading process. Yeah,
But adding
and then
drone
they spin
wheels
around.
to the structure, and then that's just like adding a ability. But once it, oh, I haven't actually seen that. Is it
Yeah, I
upgrading
mean,
it?
it's not supposed to downgrade. That was just faction artist Kubo. Shout out to him for making all this awesome stuff.
Mm,
He's just having fun. But yeah, so once they fly off the structures, they'll actually arrange themselves into another formation around this thing. And so, the guard, maybe they like circles. Who knows? But yeah, so that's how they work. And then this is them helping build the vehicles inside this aircraft factory.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like this one over here where you see they've joined. The rings are
Oh yeah. The
inside this
land factory
factory.
ones, they're like concentric, right? So yeah, that
Yeah.
was a pretty good move as well. Yeah.
But whereas the air factory one, it's just kind of like hovering around it, but actually like integrating with the factory itself, that's just a dope move. And
Yeah.
kudos to you, Kubo.
Wow. I
Yeah, there we go.
wow. I like that. I mean, that's really great.
Yeah, just to be clear, what you're seeing now is a concept render in Blender. We haven't actually, this isn't from the game. Hard to tell, I know.
Right.
But yeah, just to be clear, that's what's going on there because we were just testing the formations of the drones here. We were just putting them into the game last month or this month. Who knows? It was very recent. I think it was, a few days ago, maybe they landed actually. Yeah.
And all the guard structures are kind of interesting because the way Kubo designs them, he really puts thought into how the upgrade will work. So if you look at like this one over here, that's like a tier 1 land
Land
factory,
factory, yeah.
and then this one's a tier 2 one, or it's a tier
That's
3.
tier 3.
Yeah. So there's actually animated
Oh.
transitions from this one to this one where it kind of like, unfolds out and expands and things, just like the animation that you saw before. So people don't appreciate all that. And also half of the buildings, they start underground and they sort of like unfold out and come out like that. So like, for example, like the radar or whatever, half of them have that sort of effect. So
Yeah. We actually have a like CNC2 style unpack animation for this whole building where it just comes out the ground and comes out. I don't know if we're going to use it, but there's enough animatable parts in this structure. There's like 60 or so where you can actually just do all sorts of crazy things in there. Also, I just realized I've made a criminal mistake. That's not a tier 1 factory, it's a tier 2. We can see the tier 1 further back behind the radar.
right,
Oh.
because it just has
Oh,
more
good.
loop.
Yeah, because it actually splits. I was just wondering, that looks like the wrong number of rings on it. But yeah.
There you go, folks. Bread's not perfect. You saw right here first.
Yeah, well, there we go.
All right. That was the yeah. We also have some other Kubo units. So that's the little walker. That's a raid unit, right? So just a
Yeah, and you
metal.
can see it's got like a weapon on it that is kind of unique. We're actually thinking about making it like a rotational weapon, so you can see it's got a three-way symmetry on it, and you're thinking, well, where's the front on this thing? Where's the barrel? And the answer is got three. And they're pointing in different directions, and it will be able to like spin around and go like pew, 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 out of them and stuff. So who knows? We're actually like looking at a few different options for how it could fire, because what it could do is it could just rotate the nearest barrel to the target, so it's got a really high turn rate on its turret. Or it can actually just start spinning like a frisbee kind of thing, and just like it's like a Gatling gun, but each turret is rotating into position before it fires. So
Yeah,
still thinking about that one.
and that's a raid unit, right? So
Yeah, this is a sort of a fast unit because we got a tank, like a more tank-like unit. It's not actually a tank on the tier 1 level, but yeah, and this is the lighter one where you can like we were sort of making a game where you can actually have these two different options, where you might be able to build this thing on more open maps and the other one on more closed maps because the tanks they can actually they're actually better than these, but these ones are faster. So what you can do is this thing called defeat in detail, where you could gather a horde of them and use their mobility to get more of them in a smaller spot because they're more mobile, and then you can break through defenses like that, and you can be more maneuverable. So we tested this a little bit back in the day, and actually it works pretty fine. I was very skeptical of this whole thing. I was like,
I
you know,
haven't heard that
that's
before.
never gonna
That's
work.
pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I was like, that's never gonna work. And the guy was testing it. It's like, I'll show you, and he beat me. Like I had like groups of tanks, and I was like trying to defend everyone. He just ran circles around it, and I was like, it's so like,
Because
yeah, he
that's
like
the problem with
yeah.
lower tier units is you run into like pathfinding limitations where you just can't get them in the same place at the same time. So then they just start to really suffer. But if you could do what you're talking about, they densely sort of compact, they would still be viable at like later stages of the game, which is not a
Yeah,
bad
yeah,
thing at all.
that's like yeah, and then every other effect weapon's just squishable, so you got to be careful with what you're dealing with. Yeah, and this is
Yep.
a like gunship for the guards, so you know they've got a kind of little their own kind of art style, sort of a unique twist. It's this flying drone, and instead of it's got like a beam weapon, so it's gonna weld things. Except, well, it was originally used for welding things, and now it's just gonna weld things in half.
That's just the same unit from a few
Yeah,
different
it's even got
angles.
like a little landing animation if you notice. Like you can see it folds its legs down so it lands on its legs and the
Oh,
engines.
And
Yeah,
you see
yeah.
the thought that goes into these things. Like when you just see a screenshot of these units, you're like, oh yeah, that's a cool unit and stuff. But actually, there's like a plan. There's a pack, unpack, death animation, all these things. The way the weapons work, and that's especially true of like the EDA units because Bread's really into making all these like spinny parts and flappy parts and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah,
just
these
gonna
have
be.
them too. By the way, you just can't see them. So you see there's a slot, a glowing line on each of the engines on the outside.
Oh yeah.
That's actually going to animate and it's going to split apart. And the reason why is because actually the guard have transmitters as a mechanic, right? You
oh
actually
yeah, yeah.
saw a hint of that slightly earlier. Nobody would have recognized that structure, but there's a new structure in there. It's like these three antennas in one of the base renders. And that's a transmission tower. There it is. Yeah, so this thing actually transmits a signal to all the nearby guard units because they're like Wi-Fi powered or whatever, right? And they like, and you can see that, and every unit in the faction actually can receive this signal. And what happens is it's like its vision radius is boosted, and like it can regenerate a little bit faster because they've got like self repair structures, and like thanks to the signal, they can conduct them more efficiently. So you'll actually be able to animate those, and you can spot these little like flaps here and there on all the guard units. They're just sort of hidden away because by default they're folded up, and so they'll just like, and so when you have the transmission signal, the base will sort of light up in this glow of receiving signals. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's a present for the guard boys. Bang.
That's like
That's,
the king piece unit, the death explosion is like, a big flamboyant hero explosion. So it's looking
yeah.
pretty. The
Yeah.
quality is
Then
probably pretty bad, but it looks very nice.
yeah, then the best part is that at the end of the video it said suggestions life after death. So,
Yeah,
yeah, we won't have that in here. This guy's pretty dead.
and that's the EDA one over there.
Yeah, yeah, he's next on the list. You can see we got like a little like a circle there. Yeah.
In other news, you can there's on the Discord in the Arch channel, you can see there's some more soundtrack there. So Philip put up a new track. You probably heard it before if you've ever seen the alternate trailer that he made. But it's a really nice track. As everything Philip makes is just absolutely golden. Can't step wrong. And this track is no exception. So go check that out. This is just like awesome. This is a tier 4 unit, a walker.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's one of the tier 4 units for the Chosen. This one's got a special one. I wonder if we can see it. Is there a shot from it from the back? Yeah, there is. So you see there's like a little generator thing on the back, and that's got like 3 things on it, right? So actually this one has a reloadable, rechargeable shield. So like it's got a shield, personal shield, as all the Chosen units do. By the way, every Chosen unit in the game has its own little personal shield. And this one, when a shield goes down, it actually cycles in another charge of the shield, and it can do this 3 times before it's fully down. So you can like rapid shield resetting. So that's got a little bit of a cool feature there. So actually, you're just like, why won't it die? And it's just like cycling through these shields. So there we go. Yeah, that's a sort of hidden thing you might not know. You might not know just by looking at it. But yeah.
That's right. Once again, all these little details. But yeah, Avitus is the chosen faction. I think it's the best looking faction. Come on, that's just beautiful. And
Sorry,
Avitus
Brad.
as well has been with us from the start. One of the other modelers with
Yeah,
Brad.
yeah. I still think his greatest achievement is ending up with his artwork on the official Steam page store for Supreme Commander.
Yeah,
It's just his render. But I don't remember which one it was. It was either Forged Alliance or like Supreme Commander 2 or one of them. But yeah, like his work, he just rendered out some units from his mod, right?
yeah.
The mod he worked on for Supreme Commander, and it's on the Steam page. I still think that's just so great.
Well, right. Like
There we go.
so true to the original art style that even, the publisher thought that it was actually official content when it's not. So,
Yeah, yeah. Successfully bamboozled.
That was actually in my first video with you guys that was talked about, and it ended up. I put a screenshot of that on in my first video. That was a long time ago, June 2021 or 2020, 2021, I believe. So I've been doing this for you guys for a very long time.
Man, how the months pass.
and
Seriously.
we appreciate the work that you've done for us because you've helped us
Yeah.
build an amazing community and helped
Thank
to
you.
get the message out there. And videos like this really help people to like see, more than just a couple of screenshots and get some details that they would otherwise like. So thank you still.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me. This has been one of the more technical talks that we've had for an update video, and I think my viewers are going to appreciate it. So, thanks.
Well, answers in the comments, guys. Is this what you want? Do you like this kind of like more deep kind of stuff, or do you want like just more the high level? We made a map. There's a new experimental. Like we can just do it like that if you want. So let us know because it does take us time to do this. It takes ages to edit the videos. It takes lots of Steele's time. He's up at midnight right now. So please, just let us know if you like the format or not, and we'll just keep doing it.
Yeah, whatever works. And so, is that it? That all we got to talk about for this month?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Last night just got a new version of the map. You guys haven't seen it. What you saw is the old version, but I still haven't reviewed it. So it was just late in the evening when I got it. So, you know, it's not just happening; it's happening as we speak
Okay.
for this work.
All right.
During this conversation.
All right. So
Yeah.
you had to tell us that as we're concluding, and you already saw the old version of the map, but you can't see the good one yet. Of course, I'm messing around.
Spoilers for next time.
Next time, okay. I mean, March is going to be over eventually, so we'll be back in the next couple of weeks before April, I'm sure. How do people interact with you guys? What is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, guys, if you are interested in learning about our project, please just come to our Discord. There's more information there. There's people chatting about it. There's art in there. There's assets in there. You can have a look and just like, talk about new game ideas. What do you think about freezing? What do you think about shields? Come and tell us. Like, let's, have an exciting conversation about that. Um, Real shout out to the community members. We've got a great community. We've got our moderators are so good. Our Patreons who have like done so much for us, who have paid for an entire staff member by themselves and got us an extra developer. Our shareholders and investors who have like enabled us to get so far. Just thank you so much, and to the team who have really just stuck with us for such a long time to get us where we are today. So like huge shout out to everybody. Thank you so much. And see you in Discord.
All right. Well, you heard them. Join their Discord, subscribe to their YouTube channel, check out their website, and follow them on all social media. And subscribe to my channel. That helps me out a lot too. So yeah, gotta give myself a plug, right? So share with your friends, family, and foes because they need something interesting to watch as well. And as always, everyone, GG.
Talk is cheap, but lies are expensive. Only if you get caught. Think before you speak and remember, actions are louder